Okay. Yeah. Today's gonna be a bit of a mixed bag of a video day. We're gonna learn some stuff, but it's kind of like on a large spectrum. I wanna talk about Lightroom versus Lightroom, the new version versus the new version versus the old version, which is the new version. It's confusing, it's super confusing. I was confused while I was sitting in the audience at Adobe Max while they were trying to explain it to me. Second, let's talk merch. You guys have been asking for the hats. The hats are back in stock, the famous owl hat, and we actually added a fun little design under the brim. But there's more than just hats. We got some long sleeves, some t-shirts, some hoodies, and my favorite of all, what I'm super pumped about, and we'll get here, is my own blend of coffee, which is crazy if you think about it. I have my own blend of coffee. That might just be the coolest thing ever. We're gonna talk about, oh, there's buttons too. Yeah, a few little buttons. Oh, and stickers. I'm getting ahead of myself, but that brings me to the last thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about, which is getting your foot in the door as a professional photographer or cinematographer. I get asked so many questions, and amongst those are the obvious, but a lot of people want to know how to start making money with photography. How do I get in with a brand like James Coffee? Like, how did that happen? Well, I'll tell you, they didn't just ring my doorbell and say, hey, what's up, man? Love what you're doing. We got this dope owl logo and we make coffee. I think you like coffee. Do you want to work together? And sometimes that does happen, but when you're first starting out, it's very unlikely. So this was a very long-winded way to say we're talking Lightroom, how to make money with photography, and my new merch lineup with James Coffee Co. That's today. Let's roll the intro. All right, to kick things off, let's talk about the merch super fast before we dive into Lightroom and start doing some screen sharing and I teach you guys about my favorite new features. Let's talk about the merch. So the hats. I did a video when I hit 1 million subscribers explaining what this hat means to me, and then we decided to make a Peter McKinnon signature version of the hat. I didn't even get a chance to put it on my YouTube channel. That hat sold out. We only had like 300 or 400 gone in like 40 minutes. You guys are amazing, and since then, every day, people wanna know, when are the hats coming back? When are the hats coming back? And I get it, the hats are coming back. Today, they are back, newsflash. So you got your owl logo on the front, nice little patch there. On the side, you get a nice crispy embroidered PM signature, and my favorite part is under the hood, under the brim if you will, is now a brand new, that's actually an Indonesian batik design, which is super dope. That's on the brim of the hat because you know what, folks? It's the little details that matter. So these hats are now for sale. On top of that, we figured why not just launch with a few new things that you guys can pick up should you so desire. One of them being this new long sleeve, which I love. The winter is coming up, so you'll probably only ever see me in long sleeves or hoodies for the next, I don't know, half of a year. It's depressing. Anyway, this is the new McKinnon James Coffee Co. long sleeve. You'll notice we actually made a new version of the owl that has a maple leaf on its chest, so that is how you know that is my version of the owl. On the back, we got the McKinnon James emblem on the back, which is super awesome, and then that goes over to a hoodie with a little, this side? Boom, little zip-up hoodie, because you guys know how much I love to wear zip-up hoodies. If you guys pick up a hat, we're throwing in stickers with those. This shirt, this shirt's amazing. So we're launching with basically 3 pieces of clothing and a few accessories. This shirt's awesome because one of my friends from the company I used to work at, he designed it for me. His name's Oben Jones. I'll put his links below if you guys want to check out his Instagram. He also runs a clothing company, that kind of thing. Super talented designer, but I challenged him to make me a t-shirt that's kind of a joke, but it ended up being super awesome. If you guys remember in that how to fake slow motion video, I said this. So what is optical flow? And aside sounding like a funk band from the 90s, optical flow is time remapping. So that actually ended up being turned into a t-shirt. I think optical flow is a super funny word. I think it does sound like a funk band from the 90s, and we distressed it and turned it into a t-shirt because if you're an editor and you use Premiere and you've ever used optical flow and you get the whole joke, then you'll probably love this like I do. On top of that, it's one of the buttons in the button pack. So I'm 100% putting these on my camera bag. And then saving the best for last is my own blend of coffee. We decided to actually take a lot of the stuff that James Coffee roasts and combine it into our own blend, trying to pull out certain flavors that I enjoy the most in coffee, which we landed on red berry, sweet cocoa, and salted caramel. What a combo that is. I'm I just want to eat this bag. I just want to cut it open and just want to chew the beans. I don't even have time to grind and brew. I'm so pumped. I'm just gonna chew the beans. All of this is available in the links below. Check out the new shop. All that stuff is ready to get right now. Based off the fact that the hat's sold out like super fast, I have no idea how long any of this will last. I'm not even sure how much of it they actually ordered. I just know that I've got a bunch of these coming because I'm gonna blow through them super fast and I just can't wait. So, thank you guys, you're amazing. I hope you enjoy it. Tag me, tag James, tag all of us if you buy any of this stuff on Twitter, on Instagram. I'd love to see you guys wearing it. Super cool. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for supporting me and my family. I love you guys. And yeah, Lightroom Classic, Lightroom CC. It used to be easy. It used to be just, I use Lightroom. And then now there's two versions and the old version has adopted a new name that they're calling Classic. And I think it all comes down to workflows. Different people have different ways that they work. You get home from a shoot, you load your images onto the computer, maybe you back them up right away, maybe you back them up later. Maybe the first thing you do is you throw them in Dropbox or Google Drive, or maybe you throw them on an external device. I don't know, everybody's different, which in turn means workflow. Workflows are different. So Adobe said that they don't want to disrupt anyone's workflow. Rather than changing everything in Lightroom or completely removing it and making a new program and that's the way now it has to be, they just made an additional program for the people that now want to do things that way. For the people who are still doing things this way in the normal Lightroom, you can still do that. They essentially just made this new version as not to disrupt anybody's workflow. And that I appreciate greatly. I think that's super cool. Full disclosure right off the bat, it is not for me. I will not be using it. I have it on my computer because I wanted to check it out and explain how it works to you guys, but it's just something that I'm not going to be on board with yet. The biggest differences between them is Lightroom CC is like, think of it like a mobile version. You're supposed to be able to use it everywhere because it's cloud-based. You dump all your photos after shoot into Lightroom CC. It organizes them in the cloud. You can access those from your tablet, from your phone, Lightroom mobile. Everything's always there and connected for you. You don't have to worry about doing any of that. They're doing it for you. That also comes at a price. If you're gonna use this, you're gonna be paying more for that service. If you have tons of photos, you're gonna be paying for more storage in the cloud. Now, I'm super OCD, so I want to organize my things the way I want to organize them. I would rather have them on drives, on multiple drives, backed up on RAIDs, on rugged drives, stored in different places. That's just how I operate. I also use the cloud, but I don't want to solely depend or pay for a dedicated service that's just the cloud. And there are plenty of people who are pumped and doing it that way, and this is how they're going to probably operate moving forward. The Lightroom Classic has been updated. It's faster now. They've added new features to it, one called a range mask, which blows my mind. I'm going to show you that in a second. I used to do all that stuff in Photoshop, but now I can do it all in Lightroom super fast, and it's incredibly handy. You guys are going to do a backflip the second you see this if you haven't already. Like I said, it's got that local storage, it has that tweaked performance, and it has faster scrolling and scrubbing through thumbnails now, which is great because before it used to take a little bit of time to get through all those photos, and now it just zips through them, which is great again for your workflow. So really the biggest takeaway for me as someone who attended that was I just wanted to come home and show you guys how range masking worked. Like, forget everything else, cool, whatever. This is dope. This I will use. This affects me. I already have my workflow. I'm already set. I'm good to go. But this new feature, woo-hoo, thank you very much, and yes, please. Okay, so once you have the image that you want to edit in Lightroom, let's start doing this. So here's a picture of me in Iceland. I want to make that foggy sky maybe a little darker. So what would I do normally? Maybe adjust the exposure, but that's going to adjust the exposure of the whole image. I could come over to the gradient mask, little rectangle here. I could pull down a brand new gradient that's as well going to make that whole section of the image darker. So we're gonna start there. That's where you wanna start with this, and then we introduce the range mask. So let's go ahead, grab this gradient tool, make that exposure at like -1 stop, which should be good. We'll pull that down over our image, adjust the bottom here just so that it fits nice and even. I'm actually gonna make it -2 stops, so it's quite a bit darker. We'll start there, I may adjust it after. That's a good starting point. So once we have the mask on, we're gonna come down here with it selected and choose range mask luminance. Now that's gonna affect the shadows and the highlights of this mask when we're tweaking that slider back and forth. This is what I mean. So you've got two sliders, which is the range and the smoothness of this image. So watch, if I slowly drag this range over to the right, you'll see that it's masking me out, making it a little more visible to see the subject in the foreground versus that dark that we just added to the background. If you hold down Alt while you're sliding any of these sliders, it'll show you a black and white version of that mask that actually helps edit a lot more. So if we were to drag that right here, I can see that that's about where I want it to be. And maybe we'll just make this a little brighter. Maybe like one stop was good enough. Maybe even just, maybe we'll go manual here and just drag that slider until we find a good spot for it. I'm happy with where the range and the smoothness is. Let's hit done. Now, when we zoom in on that, you'll see that my body is the brightness that it's supposed to be. Nothing's been affected there. But if we hit reset, you'll notice the sky, boom, goes back to being super bright. So just by adjusting that range mask, we've only affected the sky, not the actual subject in the foreground. That used to take way longer to do in Photoshop, which is made super fast with the new range mask feature. Now you can also use that for color, not just luminance. Well, let's say we wanted to make the sky more blue. We could come over here and select that tint, drop it down a little bit, and do the same thing by selecting that gradient mask, moving that tint down towards more blue, pulling it over the photo, and then we're in the same situation. We've just added a blue tint over the entire photo, which is now affecting me and the color of my coat. But let's say I wanted to affect the color of blue in the sky, but not have it affect the blue in my jacket. But instead of going to luminance in the range mask, you're gonna go select color. Now that brings up like this little eyedropper. And what you can do is you can actually sample different parts of the sky to get the best accurate representation of that color blue. Or you can select the eyedropper here, click and drag over a sample area, and then you'll see that blue pops right out of my coat. We can adjust the amount down here with the slider, and that is gonna give us the best possible color rendition where the sky is now a different color blue from my jacket, and we can adjust both of them without damaging one or the other. So that's really gonna come in handy for you if you're, let's say, editing a photo of a sunset. Maybe you have your truck parked in front, it's a red truck, but the sunset is super orange and red, and you want to maybe just intensify that sunset a little bit, but what it's doing is it's also intensifying the red of that truck. So you would say, no, I don't wanna do that. You would grab the mask, color over the whole picture, maybe use those eyedroppers, select the red that you want it to actually affect, and then you've masked out that truck, and you're able to edit the sunset's intensity, the color red of the sunset, without touching the color red of that truck. So that's where this is really, really handy, and it's really easy to use now. Before you go, it's Photoshop, grab a tablet, cut in and out, and use the pen tool to select it. Now you can just paint over it, and it pretty much does the work for you. All right, the last thing I wanted to end on today is making money with photography, because that is the end goal for most people that watch this channel, or a lot of people that I talk to, is they would love to get to a point where they're doing this for a living. And how did you get there? How did you go from someone that made no money with photography to that's all I do now? People pay me to take photos and make videos for them, so on and so forth. And there are different ways to do this. Obviously, not everyone's gonna have the same opinion or even agree with me. Look, for instance, some of my friends think it is completely stupid to ever work for free, and I fundamentally disagree with that. I think just because someone isn't paying you in the beginning doesn't mean you don't pick up the camera. And let this whole partnership be a perfect example of that. This guy never reached out to me. His name's David Kennedy. He never reached out to me to take photos. This wasn't something where he said, hey, I've been following you on Instagram, I love your feed, would you mind taking some shots of our stuff and let's just, we're making a new website. Never happened. I went out, I bought all of his stuff online. I bought tons of it. I bought his coffee, I bought as much merch as I could, and I started taking photos of it myself, putting it on Instagram and tagging him, hoping that he might see it. No response. So I did it again. I bought more stuff, did it again, until one day he wrote back and said, hey, I love this picture, can I repost it? And I said, no problem. Hey, while we're here, what's up? My name's Pete. If you ever need photography, feel free to send me anything, and like the first shoot is on the house, like don't even worry about it. So he sent me a bunch of t-shirts. I got a bunch of friends together, this wasn't paid, and I actually shot these friends wearing these shirts as like actual merch photos that he then put on his website. And from there, the relationship started to build. Now we became friends versus business partners, so fast forward 4 years now and I have a merch line with him. Incredible, but that would never have happened if I didn't put that work in first. And feel free to get as ambitious with this as you want. Like just because maybe Ford's not gonna come knock on my door and say, hey, we want you to shoot an F-150 commercial, I could still do everything in my power to make my own super cool F-150 style commercial. Maybe they'll see it, maybe they won't, but maybe Mercedes-Benz will call me and say, hey, we love what you did with Ford. Do you want to do that for us? Little do they know that I never did anything for Ford. I just was having fun, flexing my filmmaking muscles, doing something that I loved, but I don't think you need to necessarily wait around for those things to happen, because they're not going to. Very seldomly are brands or individuals just gonna knock on your door and magically say, hey, I really need your services. You need to do the groundwork at the beginning. You need to get the boots on, go into the field, and make that work happen for yourself. And if you love photography and you love cinematography, it shouldn't be that hard for you. It's fun to do. All of that leads to a point where these people come to you and say, I need your services specifically because I saw what you did for his coffee shop. I also have a coffee shop, or I have a fresh tea shop and I need you to come. Can you do the same thing? And if you had never done this in the first place, that tea shop would never come knocking. So that's it for me, guys. I hope you liked this video. I know it was a little all over the place. It was a little long-winded, but there was so much I wanted to talk about today. I didn't feel like rolling it over 4 videos. I just wanted to cram it into one. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for checking out the merch. I hope you enjoy range masking. If you get some dope photos, again, tag me on Instagram, Twitter. I love seeing that kind of stuff. Hit that like button if you like this video. Smash it if that's something that you're into. Subscribe if you aren't already. And I've got a super fun 2-Minute Tuesday coming tomorrow that everybody requested from my last vlog. So get ready for that. I will see you in the next video.